time, once again, for Gaming with Max Von Puppet. That's me. So today, I'm going to talk about a game that I've played before and really love. Obviously, I've played before. I wouldn't be talking about it if I haven't. But it's Lords of Waterdeep. This is it's a really fantastic, well-made game put together by the good people at Wizards of the Coast who make Dungeons & Dragons. If you're not familiar with it, Waterdeep is a popular city in one of their more popular settings called the Forgotten Realms for Dungeons & Dragons. But this is not really a Dungeons & Dragons game. So if you're not a Dungeons & Dragons fan, or even just a general role-playing fan, you don't have to worry about it. This is not a role-playing game or anything that even really requires you to know anything about Dungeons & Dragons at all. It does play off of a lot of things in Dungeons & Dragons, especially in the Forgotten Realms and Waterdeep specifically, but all of it is game-specific, and none of it really matters if you've never played the role-playing game before. So with that out of the way, let's get into what the game is about. So, Waterdeep is a fantastic game about resource management. As the title suggests, you play one of the many Lords of Waterdeep, the secret rulers of the city of Waterdeep. And you are, while all the rulers care about the city and want to keep it safe and running smoothly, they each, of course, have their own agenda. Because, as you're well aware in the real world, you can't have a bunch of politicians just sitting around cooperating with each other. No, that's too easy. No, they all have their own agendas and plans and plots, and your goal as the Lord of Waterdeep is to advance your plot while stopping your opponents from advancing theirs, whatever theirs might be, because you don't really know. You don't even know which Lord of Waterdeep your opponents are. You only know which one you are, which is actually one of the cooler aspects of this game, because it keeps you on your toes. You have to constantly keep thinking about what your opponent is going to be doing. It is a complicated, complex game, as a lot of resource management games are. So my rules review is going to be skimming a lot. But once you grasp the rules, it's pretty easy to go, and things move around the table pretty smoothly. Now, I will say this. It is a long game. An average game runs about an hour. If first time you're playing it, probably could take upwards of an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at the most. And I know I've said before, I'm not really fond of games that run a really long time, which is part of the reason why I don't play this game a lot. But it is still a fun game to play, and if you are looking for a longer game to keep you guys occupied for a longer period of time than just 10 minutes or half an hour, this is a good go-to game for that. I do recommend playing it, even though it is a longer game. Just keep that in mind, it is a longer game. So let's get into the box and take a look at the parts and go over the rules of the game and see how the whole thing works. Okay, so here we are, the insides of the box of Lords of Waterdeep. There's the rulebook right there, and you can, underneath it you can begin to see the board. We'll get to the board in just a minute. Let's take a minute to look at the box itself. I want to say one of the things I really like about this game is the way it's put together. It's a very well manufactured game. You can tell the people who make it are professionals who've done this before. And so you can see it's got all these nifty little grooves and places to put things and keep all your miniatures together. There's these cards back here at the end. We'll get to these in just a second. Let's move them out of the way for right now so you can see the cards in their own little slots. I like that they each have their own space and everything has a place to go. I will say, however, it's not a perfect design for the box because, as you can see, things do get knocked around a little bit. But overall, a couple of things getting knocked around during moving the game from place to place isn't really a huge deal because, for the most part, as you can tell, everything stays in its place. All right. Now, let's take a look at some of the pieces that come in the game. You can see there's all kinds of little fiddly bits that come in the box, like these things right here, which are markers that you use to determine whether or not you control a building. There's these little meeples here. These are your agents that you move around the board when you're trying to take actions. You need to move these guys around the board, and they're color-coded because each player gets a color. There's these cool little wooden cubes back here that are all different colors. These represent one of the resources you have to track. I don't know if you can see it really well, but there's black cubes. See, there's black ones right there. And they represent the adventurers that you are going to use to go on quests to score victory points. And speaking of victory points, that's what this is. This is, I guess it's upside down here. 100 victory points right there. A lot of good. It's cardboard, but it's good quality stock cardboard. I mean, it's pretty thick. Look at that, and it's two-sided. Really well done artwork. Really super impressed with the manufacturing of this game. It's really good. Not that I would expect anything different from companies like Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, but I just want to say it's really a well put together game, and I really appreciate that. Here's your Lords of Waterdeep cards itself. So these are the characters that you're going to play in the game, and as you can see, let's look at one really quick. Let's give it an anatomy. Let's look at a couple here. So it's got the name of the character. It's got some special victory points that you get, extra victory points you get for certain kinds of quests that you complete. So like, for example, this guy here, the Paladin, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name because I'm going to get it wrong, but the Paladin. And he gets, at the end of the game, he scores 4 victory points for each piety quest and each warfare quest that you complete. We'll get into the quests in just a minute, but so bonus points at the end. Whereas Mert, the moneylender here, he gets 4 points, victory points for each commerce quest and each piety quest he's completed. So these two, if they're both playing the game, they're probably going to be competing each other for piety quests. But one has warfare quests, the other one has commerce quests, and so they're not going to be competing with each other at that. And the top is just a little description of the character right there. And so those are the guys that you're going to play, and there's a bunch of them, as you can see. So even though there's only a certain number of players, there's a whole deck full of characters that you can play during the game. So you get a lot of variety when you're picking who you're going to be. There's also these building cards. As you go through the game, you will add buildings to the city that you can control, and they'll give you resources. Because like I said before, this is a resource management game, and you will be managing resources. There's lots of different types of resources. There's money. There's the adventurers. There's buildings, which is another kind of resource you want to have. So there's a lot of stuff you're going to do. And then there's quest cards. Which are the things that you're going to use mostly to get victory conditions. This is what you're mostly going to be using your resources on. As you can see, the quest has a name. It's a really fantastic artwork. The quest cards all have there's a lot of great artwork in this game. I really like it a lot. There's another sample of some really cool artwork right there. But the quests have anatomy. The quest card right here on the top is the type of quest it is. So remember earlier we saw piety and commerce and I think warfare. Quests for extra victory points. This is a commerce quest. And then it gets a name and it has the requirements. These are the resources that you're going to use to complete the quest. And that's how many victory points you get at the end. Plus, there's a little bonus thing right there. It says that you get to draw one building from the stack and put it into play under your control. And so that's pretty cool. So quests are really important. These are where you're going to get the majority of your victory points, and how you're going to win the game is by completing these quests. And then you've also got these intrigue cards. Sorry about the camera work. I apologize. It's been a while since I've done these. I'm still getting back into it. Not that that's an excuse. But anyway, moving on. Intrigue cards are like special cards that you can play at different times in the game. They do, again, really cool artwork. That looks like a quest card that got mixed up in the intrigue cards. But really cool artwork on these. I really love the artwork in this game. It's really fantastic. Good stuff all over. There's the castle piece. I honestly forgot what that's used for, but we'll get to that in a minute or two, I'm sure. And then there's these right here. These cards that I showed you earlier, these are the faction cards. So this is where the colors come into play. Your lord belongs to a faction, and there's only so many factions in the game. And so the factions are the City Guard, the Red Sashes, Silver Stars, Knights of the Shield, and the Harpers. And each faction has a tavern where you keep your completed quest and you place your Lord of Waterdeep face down underneath the player's mat. So everybody in the game knows what your faction is, but nobody knows which Lord of Waterdeep you're actually playing, which I think is a really cool part. So those are the pieces in the game, really good high quality pieces. I like that. These are your scoring tokens that you move around the board. You'll see on the board itself, there's you can see right here, there's let me move the camera. There's numbers to keep track. Hold on, the camera, you're looking it upside down. But there's numbers to track that keep track of the score, so you move your piece along as you're scoring. A lot of games do this. You'll see on the side of the board the score tracker and then the color token that go with your score tracker, so you can keep track of your particular score. And so really good, high quality pieces. I like it a lot. Now let's take a look at the board and continue on talking about how quality this game is. Now you'll see here it's a really big board. It is in fact like a lot of resource management games. It's a very gigantic board. Let me move this the rulebook out of the way for a second, so you can get a good look at the whole board. That's it. That's the entire board right there. It is gigantic, as you can see. Again, really fantastic artwork. You can zoom in there and get into some really cool the city area where the halflings live, the cliffs on the other side of the city. Really good stuff. I just really like it a lot. This right here is your turn counter. There are 8 turns in the game total to get through, which doesn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind that the game does take about an hour to play. And then you got all kinds of stuff up here. There's your quest deck. There's your discard deck. There's your intrigue decks. Then there's all these little spaces to put buildings. As you build buildings, you'll put them there, and you'll keep track of it. Then there's the stuff that comes in the city already built that you'll want to try and use to gather resources and complete quests. By the way, when you control a building, that doesn't mean other people can't get the resources from that building. It just means that you are going to continue to get something from the building even if you don't have an emissary in the building. Now let's take a look at the rulebook. So here's the rulebook for Lords of Waterdeep. It's a book. It's a little mini magazine. There's a lot of stuff in here. The artwork continues throughout this book. It's all the same artwork that's in the game itself. But the book itself is 23 pages long. Now, not all of this is technically rules. You'll see right here there's a little design chart in the back to show you how to store everything in the box, which is kind of nice. I like this particular aspect of it, given how much stuff there is in the box. It tells you where everything goes. It's kind of cool. Oh, that was one of the things I wanted to show you. Money was a resource in the game, so there's 2 different types of money tokens. I just want to show them off because they're cool. That's the 5 money token, and this is the 1 money token. So there's 1 money and 5 money. Gold. 1 gold and 5 gold, and I just personally think those look really cool. If you've ever played in the Forgotten Realms, you know that this is what gold looks like in Waterdeep. These are what your gold pieces look like, and I just think it's a really nice little touch that they added these into the game. I just think it's kind of cool. Instead of just making, round gold pieces that look like pirate doubloons or something like a lot of games do, they went the extra mile and made it a little nice little touch. I liked it. I just thought it was really cool. So back to the rulebook. You can see here it's talking about this is the glossary. Some extras on the back is the simplified overall rules of the game, which is mostly what I'm going to use to talk about how the game works. But let's go through the game just the rulebook so you can just see what it looks like. There's the introduction, the table of contents, the actual rules of the game. So setup, what all the pieces are, what they all do. Victory points, the adventurers, there's the factions and your control markers, the money right there. Goes through all that stuff. It talks about sequence of play, how to assign your agents, how to receive stuff, things like that. Buildings. Yeah, and then here's the actual rules and ending the game, and then just basically the game ends on turn 8 after everybody's finished their 8th round of play. Then you total up the scores, and excuse me. Then you total up the scores, and the person with the highest score wins. Pretty simple in that respect, but everything else in the game, there's a lot of strategy involved. The more people you have playing, of course, the more difficult it gets, and I personally think that makes it all the better, the more people you have playing. If you get a full 5-person game, it's just a ton of fun. It's just a lot of fun trying to outmaneuver each other. And also, because it's a score game, nobody gets knocked out. So everybody gets to play a full 8-phase game. Nobody's going to get knocked out early on in the game. More stuff about the different types of buildings. So each building has its own set of rules in here, and what you get out of the building when you have your emissary there. Your agent, I keep using the term emissary, but it's an agent. And here's the agents, some of the different agents, and then some stuff on the factions. The different Lords of Waterdeep. There's, as you can see, there are a lot of them. So there's only 5 factions. There's a lot of lords. I think there's 12, 11, 12, somewhere around there. But there's a lot of lords of Waterdeep and only 5 factions. So you pick your one lord and your faction and you use them together. And the neat thing about this is when you play again, like the lords don't belong to a particular faction. You pick the lord and the faction you want to use. So you can mix and match all you want. The factions don't really give you anything in particular. They're mostly just your color. But it's kind of cool that if you're getting into like the lore of the game, if you want to get into the fluff that goes behind the board game, that you can mix and match the lord and the faction. I personally think that's kind of cool. So let's take a minute to go over how the game is played and what you're going to do. So these guys are your agents. They are your most important piece in the game. You start off with a couple of these. On turn 5, you're going to get an extra agent. That's what this little row here is. This is marked here on round 5. So on round 5, you're going to get an extra agent. And what you do with these is you put your agent in a specific spot on your turn, and then you get the resources from that spot. So the number of agents you get depends on the number of players. The fewer the players, the more agents you get. But if you're playing with a full 5-person game, which is mostly the way I've played it, you only get 2. And then you get your lord, and you get your player mats, and you go along in the game. The sequence of play basically goes like this. At the start of each round, every player takes turns one at a time, starting with the player who had the first player marker. There is a first player marker in there to help determine who goes first. It changes as the game goes along. So even though you were player 1 in round 1, you will not be player 1 in round 2, etc., etc. So that way everybody has a chance of being the first player, which does not give you... I mean, it being first gives you an advantage, because you're the first one to put your agent on the board. So you place your agents on one of the places on the board that you can get. So either one of these places here in the middle, or a building as buildings get added to the game. And then you can complete quests. After assigning agents, you can complete one quest by paying the specified number of adventurers and gold. So you get your quest cards as you go along. You get your resources by placing your agents. Then you spend the resources that you've gathered to complete quests, which give you victory points. Then move your marker around the board on your score. And you keep doing that for 8 turns until the end of turn 8. And then the person with the most victory points at the end wins. You'll get victory points for having gold left over. You'll get victory points for having quests completed. That's where you're probably going to get the most of your victory points. And then, of course, you'll get bonus victory points based off of your lord and his particular quests and goals in mind. That's an incredibly simplified version of the game. As you can see from the number of pieces, the size of the rulebook, the sheer complexity of the board, that there is way more to it than that. But that's it in a nutshell. It would take me longer than it would take to play a game to go through the actual set of rules, and I don't think it's really a good idea for me to do that. But that's basically it. After about 2 rounds, you'll have the rules down. So if you've never played before, 2 rounds is all you need to figure it out, and it's not 2 rounds is not enough to really lose by. You still have 6 rounds left to get up your score and win the game. When I played the first time, it was with a bunch of other people who'd never played before, and like 1 or 2 who had. But one of the people who never played before won. And she won by doing something pretty sneaky in terms of the quests that she got. She went after 3 different kinds of quests, so nobody knew what her quest goals were. And in the end, had the most of a quest goal. I mean, had a whole bunch of a quest goal that her lord wanted, and she won that way. And so that was really awesome. But I've also played games where people win by just having a bunch of money in their tavern at the end of the game, and they got a bunch of points off of that, and they won by like 2 points at the end of the game just because they had a bunch of money at the end. And so there's more than one way to win. Quests are your most common type to get victory points, but they're not the only way to get victory points. And so there's multiple ways to win the game, and that again expands the replayability and the method of playing the game. It applies to a bunch of different kinds of players because you're not just playing one different way. And I really like that. I really appreciate that. And that's really all I got to say. you have it, Lords of Waterdeep. It's, like I said, it's a little complicated, but that's okay. It's still a lot of fun. Really well manufactured. You gotta hand it to the guys at Hasbro. They really know what they're doing. Wizards of the Coast, which is one of their wholly owned subsidiaries, knows how to make fantastic fantasy games, and Hasbro knows how to make really fantastic board games, and so combined, they made a really fantastic fantasy board game, and I really like it. It's an older game, but I believe it's still readily available in most game stores. I don't think it's going to be available at places like Target or stuff like that, but you will find it at most comic book / game stores, and you will find it online. It's pretty easily bought, and I will put links below to places where you can find it online. Totally worth the money. I'm not super fond of the amount of time it takes to play, but if you're playing with people who've played it before, you can keep the game down to about an hour, and that still keeps it kind of fun. Other than that, though, it's totally worth it. I do love the game. I love the mechanics. I especially love the questing mechanics. I think that's a really fun aspect of the game. And I also like the fact that you're constantly trying to figure out what your opponent's goals are, because, you know, if they're really good at mixing up their quests, it makes it difficult to figure out which ones they're going after. It's a fun, cool, just a neat game. I just really like it. I totally recommend getting it. And that's really all I gotta say. So until next time, keep playing games.